From all indicators, the contest for the All Progressives Congress ticket for next year's governorship election in Akwa Ibom State is shaping up to be a truly formidable one. Many of those who are gunning to secure the top prize include individuals who have played and are still playing major roles in the evolution of Nigeria's ruling party in its bid to retain power early next year. Well, a name out of the hat, Senator John Akwahunde, the immediate past secretary of the APC Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee and a former Minister of State for Federal Capital Territory. But our next guest, Senator Enang, the Special Advisor on Niger Delta Affairs to President Muhammadu Buhari, is in all ramifications not a slouch. He is running to be the next governor of Akwa Ibom State. We will engage him on his manifesto for human capital development, including in education, healthcare and environment, as well as improvement of basic infrastructure. Welcome to the morning show. Thank you for sticking with us.
Good morning.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear us?
Thanks for inviting me.
All right.
And thanks.
Fantastic.
I can hear you.
Perfect. Now, you have promised to enhance human capital development in Akwa Ibom if you are given the mandate as the governorship candidate. Now, in what specific areas are you looking at when you're talking about this human capital development? And why do you think that you have or you stand a chance?
Thank you very much. I know that one of the basic factors of production is the human capital. And on the manifesto of the APC, the central theme is improving the human condition, which we magnified during the last convention. And that is improving and harnessing the human capital. No matter what you plan on infrastructure, no matter what you plan on education, no matter what you plan on the environment or on tourism, on agriculture, they're all going to be driven by the human beings. And so the first thing we'll need to do is to reorient the mind, the brain, and re-engineer the focus of the human beings that we're going to use to work. You can have a minister, you can have a commissioner, an advisor, you can have a director general in any of the parastatals or institutions. But if they are not properly oriented to have the view that you have of governance, then you alone may be the only good head, and then whatever you seek to be done in the ministries, in the departments, in the agencies of the government will not be properly executed. So the greatest of what we'll do and what we'll prioritize is the human capital development, orienting and reorienting them in the focus of governance to make governance more human-based. Now, going to education. Education will be given priority, but the greatest of the area that I would declare an emergency is youth development cum education. Youth development. Because greatest of the problems that we have in society today, security-wise, lack of production, neglect of agriculture, neglect of other areas of production is from the youth orientation and the youth disorientation. So what I intend to do, God giving me the ability and giving the mandate as a governorship candidate of APC in Akwa Ibom State, I intend to declare emergency on youth development. How do I do it? One, we will fight one of the greatest cancer that is coming, that has pervaded it, that is drugs, and drugs. Because drug in the society in Nigeria today has almost gotten the society damaged. We know what is the basic cause of the situation in the Northeast, in the Northwest, part in the North Central. It is drugs and drug-related, narcotics consumption and so on. So we will fight drugs. We will declare emergency on youth development, including avoidance of drug, and then prioritize education. Education at the level of the basic, at the level of the basic education. I will make education perhaps at the basic level to be such that public primary and public basic education schools will be a matter of choice, will be a priority, and private schools will just be a choice. we will try to make it a great parity between private schools and public schools, and we make public schools very enticing. That will be done by granting autonomy to the local government, and then as a governor, you harness the potential of the local government on education, and then add the money coming from the state, and then get federal institutions to support you. I will work closely with the National Basic Education State National Basic Education Commission, so that whatever they ought to helping in shaping the schools, getting infrastructure ready, and getting the teachers properly trained, I will attract it and get education at that level very, very attractive. We will make primary education, secondary basic and the lower level very competitive, and we will create infrastructure in those schools. We get a situation where you have schools that don't have chairs, where the children sit on blocks, using blocks, where they sit on the floor writing under Governor Udom Emmanuel. We will reverse that situation and make it attractive so that we can build a generation that will take off tomorrow.
All right, Senator Enang, I know that you, on paper, you're well prepared for this, from being a councillor to a senator of the Federal Republic and a senior special assistant to the president twice. I know that you are well prepared, but I know that the opposition is also not feeble. Right from your own party, where you have people like Senator Akpanu Duedehe, you know, who a lot of people believe is very solid as a challenger. But of course, also, given the fact that your state is considered to be a traditional PDP state, you know, where apparently the candidate of the PDP, well, the candidate, shall we say, the candidate of the governor, the preference of the sitting governor, does not only go down on his knees for his maker, but also for his principal. You know, so I'm saying that you know, the challenge will be heavy. How will you confront both the internal within the APC and then the external challenge being a traditional PDP state? But more importantly is this second question, which is your temperament as to be able to manage the state House of Assembly if you eventually become the governor. A lot of people will point to the fact that the reason why you probably didn't return as President Buhari's SSA on National Assembly is because of the Frosty relationship that you were unable to manage properly in the last assembly between the executive and the Saraki-led administration. People felt that if you had managed that quite well, you most probably would have returned as the liaison person between President Muhammadu Buhari and National Assembly, rather than the Niger Delta, where you are superintending on now. So people would like to know, in terms of your temperament, how you will deal with a State House of Assembly that is determined not to be a rubber stamp if you eventually become the governor of Akwa Ibom State.
Thank you very much. That's composite questions and loaded. I will say that you've mentioned my disposition and my experience. I was a councillor in the local government. I was a member of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. I was in the National Assembly, in the House of Representatives 3 times consecutively from 1999 to 2012. I was a senator of the Federal Republic from 2011 to 2015. From 2015, I was advisor on National Assembly to Mr. President, liaising for the Senate. And after that, I became a member. I am now advisor on Niger Delta affairs. Now, talking of temperament, I think I have the best temperament to manage frosty relations. And of course, to even manage the whole of that situation and survive, as it were, between the legislature and the executive under the Saraki-led administration. And I succeeded myself as advisor for 3 or 4 months after the working under the Lawan-led Senate. I think there is no person who has ever had that kind of privilege and pedigree. I have screened and cleared 2 sets of ministers. The ministers under the first term of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015, and the ministers under the second term of President Muhammadu Buhari under the in 2019. I managed and screened all of them. And of course, you will agree with me that in the history of this country, there is no legislature that has been so tensed and robust, and of course, against the executive as the Saraki-led administration, as the Senate and the National Assembly of and House of Representatives, as it were. But I was able to manage that situation. You remember the situation of the quote-unquote the stolen budget. I was able to manage it. And of course, you remember that part of the greatest of the tension that led to the tension between the executive and the legislature was that the Saraki, His Excellency Saraki, the Senate President then, emerged out of and away from the calculations of the party and the executive. And the Deputy Senate President then, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, was of the PDP. So you had a diatribe. You had a situation of the majority and minority forming a coalition in the legislature against the executive. Yet, I was able to manage that situation and succeeded. And again, you saw that almost in the middle of that administration, both the Senate President, the Deputy Senate joined the Deputy Senate President in the minority party, PDP. Now, against a government that is controlled by the APC, the majority in the government. And then you saw the defection that I won. I was able to manage all that. You also saw that in the tail end of it, in the course of it, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dogara, as he then was, defected. And the whole National Assembly, House of Representatives and the Senate were all controlled by the PDP and then against APC-led administration. So I should be given the kudos, and I was given the kudos for managing that situation in a manner that did not lead to a hitch on the executive. We were still able to get our budget passed, although with some strain and some conditionalities. Although we were with some situation where they say sign. When you sign, we will amend. In the course of it, they did not amend. I think I had the greatest job of managing the greatest situation. My job was the hardest job in that administration. And of course, if you want to give me credit, I am the only liaison officer in the National Assembly from 1999 till date, and of course in the history of this country, who has succeeded himself. That is a situation where the government came to an end on the 29th of May, 2019. And I was allowed to continue up to the stage of getting screened ambassadors, the ministers and other appointees of the president, including the second term of the governor of the central bank. I did and got all that cleared and done. Now, that was a credit that no other liaison officer has been able to undertake. And of course, I invented a philosophy that in liaison, you do not have to respond to everything that the legislators say, because your job is to bring results and not to engage. You don't talk back at your at the person you are liaising with, because you are in a situation where you have like an appointer, which is Mr. President, and you have the other bosses, quote unquote, which are your the person you are liaising with, the National Assembly. I have the greatest accolade. And of course, it is a tradition of the legislature. It is a tradition of the legislature that the person that liaises with that legislature should have been the person that has just finished with the immediate past legislature, so that you have a situation where the persons who has just left is having a relationship with members. He sat with the members who have just left. So that was the rationale that I had to, that I was reassigned to the Niger Delta beat. I was Of course, not many people have had the privilege of finishing one assignment in an administration, succeeding themselves in that administration, and being reassigned to another job within that administration. It means I did well. Given these credentials, given these potentials, when you compare that with the job I'm seeking as governor of Akwa Ibom State, compare me, that I have never failed in any administration, in any assignment, with my other persons contending against me. Look at the history of their service. Is it in the Senate? Is it in the ministerial? Is it in the party? How did each of them end in the course of their assignment? And you will say that Senator Enang is the best candidate to be the candidate, is the best of the aspirants to be the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the All Progressives Congress in the 2023 elections. And when you also compare the performance of the Udom-led administration and the way he has swallowed up the party and the resilience and the resistance of the members of his party against his dictatorship, you will agree that I have a new campaign manager, and the new campaign manager of my campaign for the Jubilee campaign. Meanwhile, my campaign is tagged the Jubilee campaign, that is rescuing the people of Akwa Ibom from calling them back from captivity. You know, the best and the number one campaigner for me is His Excellency Governor Udom Emmanuel, because when you compare his non-achievements in the state, how much money he has received, the fact that you can't have any accountability, the fact that you have never seen the budget, you can never see the budget of Akwa Ibom State displayed anywhere, the fact that he has approached the banks to take a loan of 150 billion just some days to the end of his administration, just perhaps to use for elections, and the way the state is resisting this, and the way the Fiscal Responsibility Commission has told him, no, this state's debt portfolio and debt sustainability is not sustainable. When you compare that and the drift of the people for a change, that it should be Senator Enang, you will agree that the party, the voters, the delegates of the All Progressives Congress in the gubernatorial primaries will vote for Senator Enang to be the candidate of the APC in that election, because he's gotten the greatest pedigree. I have always succeeded in every assignment that I have been given. And I say again, I've always succeeded in the best in every administration that I was given. If you remember, the challenge and the charge there was when the SSS invaded the National Assembly, how I was able to handle the situation. You remember other challenges which we had, the budget crisis, which I've referenced to part of it, and the question of the political maneuvering. And of course, you also give me credit for the successful installation, led by His Excellency Mr. President, of the new legislature, of the new leadership of the legislature, where the national chairman of the party, as he then was, Comrade Adams Oshomole, led all the governors, with me as liaison officer, you know, to come and work and ensure that Senator Ahmad Lawan, which was the preferred candidate of the party, emerged against the coalition that was formed by the PDP, against with some members of the APC to make another person to be the Senate President. I succeeded in that. That's part of the credit that I should be given. And in all that, there was nothing, no effort to look at this, to look against the seat of the president. I am a successful politician, a statesman, and an adroit administrator, and I will be, God willing, and by the grace of the delegates and the party leadership, I will be the candidate of the APC for the governorship of Akwa Ibom State, and I will win the election against the PDP candidate in that election. Because my manager, Governor Udom Emmanuel, my campaign man, is doing well in campaigning for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Senator Enang. Thank you so very much. And I'm sure that your campaign manager, His Excellency,
thank you, sir,
Governor Udom Emmanuel, is also listening to you. Thank you indeed for joining us this morning.